Initiating transmission. Now transmitting to 47 FM.
Welcome back to Two Dudes on a Ship.
Wow.
I'm Oscar, and this is Nathan.
Yes.
We are here flying through the vast, empty void of space, trying to find our way back home.
Yeah,
and
we've been flying through nothing for like the past 3 days.
honestly, most of space is just space. That's why it's called space.
It's kind of a letdown, actually.
It is harrowing. That's the word I would use. Very, very harrowing.
We're all just floating on some rock.
Yeah.
In nothingness.
Well, we're on a ship, but yeah.
But like humans.
Yeah. Nothingness. Think about it. Look into the void and have it stare back at you.
I'd rather not, but what I'd like to look into is the question of the day, Oscar. Would you mind hooking us up with that?
Sure. No problem. This is coming from a concerned father. We've heard from him before.
Mr. Father.
Yes.
Thank you for your submission.
How would you react to your child having opposing political beliefs? That comes to us from, again, concerned father. Thank you, Father.
Yes, thank you.
I would like to start out by saying that I think that I would, first of all, and I don't think this needs to be said, but I will say it anyway. I'd fucking be an awesome dad. Let's get that out of the way.
You're already
I'm pretty
sure
sure.
of it.
I'm pretty sure that I'd be a fucking phenomenal dad.
Okay.
So I think that because
Confident.
I went to the Uncle
the
Phil
Austin
school
for
the Uncle
being
Phil
a
school
dad.
for parenting. And I think that I would be good at it. First
why
of all.
do you think that?
Because
that's
I think
a strange claim to just be sure of.
first of all, I have a lot of experience around like kids and stuff like that
Hey.
Listen,
You're gonna have to explain that one.
because I have a lot of younger siblings that I've
Right.
helped grow up over the years and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I have
I'm definitely not going to quote a snippet of you saying that.
I just
That's recorded now.
I guess that's just something that I'm going to have to live with.
That's recorded now. So now, and we have that, and we also have the clip of us in Elden Ring where you're like, I'd have to find the last child.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's it's definitely a hood classic.
So you're saying because you have a lot of experience,
Yeah.
around kids.
Yeah. I honestly I really wouldn't care too much. It depends on
Because before they're like kids, they're babies.
yeah.
And when they're babies, sometimes they don't sleep one night, and your wife might be out of the house, and you got to put the baby to sleep, and it's just crying for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and it's like 1 a.m. and you're just trying to sleep because you have work tomorrow, and this baby won't shut the fuck up, dude.
Right.
And the only way you can put it to sleep is by like holding it and like cradling it. So you have to sit there and cradle this like screaming, crying baby at 1 a.m. for like 2 hours, and
Yeah.
it finally goes to sleep.
Yeah.
So keep in mind that like that's the kind of shit we're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think that with the whole political beliefs thing, because I'm a more
It's a good segue.
left-leaning individual, I think that I honestly wouldn't, because it's kind of weird because I'm thinking about like with my parents, right? I don't really know what my parents' political beliefs are. We don't really talk about it. So I don't have any frame of reference for like what that like looks like. It's not like my dad comes out and says like, hey, I vote for this person or something like that. But
So your parents weren't very vocal about their political beliefs, then?
I don't really
Did you
think
ever,
they
like-
have any. But
they don't have any?
it just is to the point to where like I couldn't tell you what they really believe politically.
That's interesting to hear.
Yeah. So for me, I really wouldn't, it really wouldn't be that big of a deal to me unless they, they started going down certain pipelines, and then it would be a concern.
So that shit would mean nothing to you, man.
It ain't shit to me, man. Like I don't know. I think that it would be fun to talk to my son or daughter about their political beliefs and like try and see where they're coming from and things of that nature, you know?
Yeah.
And debating with them, but like honestly, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind all that much. What about you?
Well, I'll have to preface this by saying I definitely had a opposite experience with my parents than you in regards to the political beliefs.
Really?
Yeah. So
They talked about it like constantly?
yeah, but you need to understand how it surfaces, because in your mind, all you seem to have an image of is my dad like, okay, son, we're going to talk about why it's correct to be a conservative. Like, that's not how that happens. What happens is, he's watching the news, and I come home from school, and he's watching the news.
Uh-huh.
And he's watching Fox News.
Right.
You get me?
Yeah.
And he's watching like Bill O'Reilly,
Yeah.
and they're like talking about the liberals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's like, it's those damn liberals, man. Like, they're messing up our public education system. That's why you have to think for yourself, son. You have to think for yourself, because they'll over the past 10 or 15 years, they have changed the public education system to make kids more comfortable with the idea of doing what the government says, and they've de-incentivized people being first place. There's no more being a winner now. There's no more trophies.
Right.
Everybody gets a prize. And they've changed the school system, son. He would like talk to me about that when I was like 16.
And they've changed the school system, son.
Yeah, he would talk
That's
to me about that when I was like
funny.
16.
Yeah.
So like, I had those views. You inherit a lot of your political views from your parents before you learn to really think for yourself.
Shit, I didn't.
I know you didn't, but
Yeah.
that most people did. Like, even Nick had some that he took from his parents when he was, because we're talking about when you're like 15, 16.
Right.
That's before you really like.
I feel like that. To be honest, I would like to ask, do you think that is like the norm? Because, well, I can understand. Like,
I'll say I think it's normal for.
well,
Go ahead.
the reason why I say that is I think that it's normal to rebel against your parents. So a lot of people, I think, would do the opposite of what their parents want, especially in like 15, 16, when you're going through puberty and stuff like that. And you're like, fuck mom, fuck dad.
I mean, it depends on. So I think those political beliefs, unless they are expressed in such an extreme fashion that it like puts a distaste in you when you're young, they kind of live outside of the man, fuck my parents space. Because you have to understand that, like, unless you're in like debate or you're really paying attention in social studies class, when you're like 15, nobody in your life is talking about politics.
Yeah.
You're not watching the news. No one's talking about politics. So your only source that most people have is when their parents talk about it. And when you're young, when there's like an adult thing that's spoken about, it's cool. Like, it's not cool, but it's like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, you and so I would feel smart, because I would like, when some student would bring up something, I would feel like I knew more, because I listened to my dad talk about all this political stuff, because he was, he was fucking like 40, 50,
Right.
And so he knew a lot of shit. And so I could like, what I'm saying is, instead of having to learn politics from the ground up, I could like skip ahead to what my dad said, and I could just vomit out what he said, and I would appear smarter than most kids.
Right.
So I think it's normal for like, unless the parent is like, won't shut the fuck up about politics to the point where you're like sick of it as a kid. I think, or like in your case, they don't say shit. I think it's normal for a kid to kind of like inherit a lot of their parents' political beliefs early on.
I just think that's odd. It's just odd to me, because I told you
the
my
reason
experience.
it's odd to you is because it sounds like your parents just really aren't political people. That's rare.
Not really.
You got to
Yeah.
understand, that's rare. It's less rare nowadays, you know what I mean? Because we're seeing less and less people vote even. But dude,
Well,
back
I mean,
in like
not a lot of people vote. Yeah.
back in like the early 2000s, dude, people were definitely fucking political, dude.
Really?
Yeah, are you kidding me? Early 2000s?
Well,
If anyone's listening to this, think about that.
I think
the early 2000s
I think people
was
are probably
political.
more political today than in the early 2000s.
No, in the early 2000s, there was a lot less like understanding about what's offensive to say, and a lot more people would like be bigoted. Like a lot more people would just like think it was okay to insult gay people. A lot of people would think it was okay to like use words that we can't now, and so like you would have more extreme stuff on the left and right side.
Yeah, but
and you also have to
I mean political as in the fact of like talking about like politics and shit like that.
No, but I'm saying like the louder both sides are, the more political the environment feels.
So
and they
you
were
think
a
it was
lot louder.
you think it was a lot louder in the early
in
2000s
different
than
ways,
it is now?
in different ways. In different ways, you have to recognize.
Well,
that.
I understand that the war and everything that was going on, or but I feel like
It was just a different time. It was different issues being talked about. Like right now, the issues that are always talked about seem to be like speech related issues, or like identity
Culture war
politics,
shit.
or like culture related issues, and that was around. Obviously, that's been around for hundreds of years,
Right.
But I feel like in the early 2000s, I remember it being different things. Like there was a lot of new shit that was happening, and there was like new political beliefs coming to light, and that was at the beginning. You have to remember that was kind of the dawn of the whole like politically correct wave, and like the organic food wave, and like
the organic food.
Yeah,
wave.
yeah. You remember when like green? You remember when everyone started being green? Like everyone started being really health conscious. That was a period of time.
But do you think that is a political?
I'm just saying it showed up on the news.
Not being green, but I'm saying like health consciousness isn't political.
Dude, Oscar, it's Fox News, bro. They find a way to make it political, dude.
But that's what I'm saying is that it's not though.
No,
I don't think.
Okay,
I don't think being health
but it doesn't matter if you think it's not in that time period.
Do you think that being health conscious?
It doesn't matter if I think it's not. I'm trying to tell you that in that time period, that was being talked about on the news and being hotly debated about between political parties. I'm trying to tell you that.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you or I think it's political or not. It was in the political space.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to say. So regardless of what I think about it, that was a topic at a certain point. I'm just saying the 2000s was a lot of shit was changing and coming out for the first time, and definitely with the whole like politically correct thing, that was something that like, oh my God, I heard Republicans and like conservatives talk about that for years. It was a big so now. You have to also separate the fact that as you've gotten older, your understanding of, the political climate has hopefully increased, and become more clear.
Right.
And so I think nowadays political issues are a lot more relevant to us because we're adults. And so you need to separate that from back then because, yeah, it might not have felt as political back then when you were a kid, but it was. Trust me. If they have things to talk about and argue about in 2023, they had shit to talk about and argue about in 2000, bro.
I think
and
that,
you also have to remember that 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
And after 9/11, there was a huge restructuring of like the defense system and like America versus other countries.
Right.
And there was the fucking there was a bill that was passed. There was an act that happened that was like
the Patriot Act.
The Patriot Act. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. There was a lot going on.
Yeah.
And so the political space was not quiet.
Right. I just think that where we are, and this could be recency bias, this could be, like you said, me understanding more. I think that where we are now, I mean, even if you look at like the past election, I mean, more people than ever voted in the past election. So I feel like a lot more people are a lot more politically active. Like your everyday person is.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good metric to use. I can't really argue with that metric.
Yeah.
But I also think we didn't have people like fucking Donald Trump back then.
But that's what I'm saying is that because of that, because of what's happened in recent years, people are more politically active than more average people are more politically active.
That is a hard thing to quantify, Oscar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I agree with you. Like, what do you say? What do you use to prove it? You know,
I feel like back in the 2000s, like a lot of normal people were just like into like Lost and like fucking watching Survivor and like American Idol and shit like that, and like people would argue over, you know, celebrity culture. And
I
shit.
think you're
You know what
really.
I'm saying?
I think you're really.
But
I think you're really
but
thinking back to your parents.
Maybe that's because of the situation that I was growing
I
up
think
in.
so.
I was not like inundated with even like living in Texas. I didn't really even notice like now.
It definitely.
It
definitely was always around for me.
I'll say this. I didn't.
If anything, my
Where
family
was
has
I?
gotten more tame on their political beliefs in the recent years.
Really?
Yes. Because
That's-
because there's now this like now it's important to have acceptance of other people's beliefs.
Well, I feel like it's always important. Well, it was always important.
You get
but
get
yeah.
what my sentence meant though.
Yeah.
Like, and so that has affected that's affected them. I also think they've just like gotten over it. Like they've grown into an age where they're like there's more important things. Like my brother has a family now and like a son, and you know he needs to take care of his family. And
Yeah.
my dad's, you know, he's getting to the end of his 60s and he's starting to like just care about other
he's
shit.
he's almost at that age where I could definitely beat him in a fight.
Yeah, if you go back to the last episode, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, he's getting to the age where like there's other shit to care about, you know? So and I think it's both, bro. I think yes, you are a little bit biased because of your upbringing, but so am I. You know? Maybe my dad was really political. I know my brother was definitely political. My brother was big into conspiracies, like huge into conspiracies.
Yeah.
And he was saying that 9/11 was faked like the year after that shit happened.
Yeah.
Like he's one of the original, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
And so maybe I'm a little biased too, because when I was younger, my family was always talking about politics. But I think the truth is somewhere in the middle, you know?
You know, if you consider conspiracies politics, which I don't really.
Well, I mean, politics, look, this is what I'm considering politics. A political discussion is a conversation that involves talking about the political spectrum and how it affects us today. So if you're talking about the left or the right or conservatives or the government and how it affects politics,
Yeah, but
I count that as a political conversation.
I don't think that people who like fucking you know, the
There's a
FBI killed JFK or something like that. I don't
think-
see that as like a
How many people
political-
have you talked to like that?
Shit, a lot.
But have you had like deep conversations with him about it?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe your experience is different from mine, but absolutely the ones I spoke to made it political. Absolutely, because
Yeah,
they go down their own rabbit.
guess.
Because
Yeah.
they go down their own rabbit hole and they start to make conclusions
then
about
then
why
it's like
someone would fake
the
it.
government's fault. Yeah.
At the
I
end of the
guess you're
day,
right.
conspiracies are all about a motive. And so if they can point out that some government party has a motive in faking 9/11, for example, it's political immediately. And that's what my brother would do. He'd be like, I mean, you got to understand his take on it was definitely more of like a fuck the government in general, you know?
Yeah.
Like they're trying to, you know, keep us down.
Right.
But he definitely made it political. He was definitely like, oh, this cabinet wanted to do it, and this administration was trying to push this.
Right.
The Patriot Act happened because this administration wanted to have more control over us as the people. It was definitely a political conversation.
Right.
So that's just always been around for me, and it was louder back then.
So what do you think about okay, so I would like to ask, so for the original question, first on like where do you stand politically, and what do you think would be your reaction like if your kid was like, I think
I
as
guess I
long
still
as
haven't gotten to the answer.
as long as they're not for me basically is as long as they're not like an extremist, or if they
Sure.
if they can like function as a person.
They're at a reasonable level
Yeah.
of political belief.
I feel like people who make politics like their entire life, like it's just
kind
not
of
healthy.
annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not annoying. It's just not. It's not conducive to like a good state. Of
I
being.
think you're right, and I will go on a limb and be the one to say that I think it's fucking annoying.
Yeah.
I'll actually extend that statement myself. I'll go out on a limb and say anyone who makes any one thing their entire identity is fucking annoying.
Right.
Usually. You know what I mean? Now I feel like there's some exceptions. Like, if you really love donating to charity
Right.
and you're just a nice person,
Yeah.
that's not really annoying. But
Here comes Samantha talking about feeding the children again.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? But it's like you can't really be, but people who like make One Piece their whole identity, oh my God, it's like shut up. But anyway, no, I'll say about the politics thing.
That felt pointed, but
Huh? What was that?
nothing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll say about the politics thing. Dude, I'm an argumentative guy. And
Ain't that the truth?
I'm an argumentative guy.
Right.
And there's a lot of things I care about. And I think what I would be concerned about with my kid is not their political beliefs per se, but if they had a belief system, right, that I believed would lead them down a bad path.
Right.
And by that I mean like they are not thinking for themselves, or they're using their beliefs as a way to like take out their angst on other people.
Yeah.
Or so that's what I'm trying to say is like it's not really so much their political beliefs. I mean, to answer your question, I'm more of a centralist kind of guy. I probably lean on the conservative side a little bit just because of my upbringing, and because of like where I live. But I'm a relatively centered dude. I'm not super far left. I'm not super far right. I kind of think that both sides have something that is reasonable that we can take, as people. But so if my kid was like a leftist, if he was just if he grew up a little bit liberal, it would irk me. But I'm not gonna I don't think it's right to enforce my beliefs onto my kid.
Right.
But if noticed an underlying issue where like he was like blatantly, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
You get what I'm saying. If there was some underlying problem where I was really concerned for his mental health or I was concerned for his behavior, then I'd definitely talk to him.
I think that's a very like an underrated take, because a lot of people I see on the I'm just going to go off of what I've seen or like what I've experienced. A lot of people on the right like have this thing like your dad was saying, like, the big thing about the schools is like they're indoctrinating kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, people will indoctrinate their kids into whatever political belief they believe in.
Yeah,
and if they don't believe in it, then like it's like a problem.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that is very wrong. I
agree
think that you should have your kid grow up and then like you can explain things to them, but have them come to their own conclusions.
Well, this is kind of a touchy topic, and if you think this is too sensitive, we can move on. You can just let me know. But I actually have that problem with religion.
Yeah.
Because I get it. Religion is a little bit different than political beliefs.
Yeah.
More than a little. And it's like tradition in a family. And it's what they believe to be right. But it is kind of indoctrinating your kid.
It literally is.
Like, as long as you're not giving your kid a chance to think for themselves, like you're kind of, I don't know. I get it, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It's hypocritical at the very least, because you're like, well, I hate the fact that they're, forcing this on my kid, and then you'll go to like a building every Sunday where you have to like read the instructions of how to live.
Spank them if they don't listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. The instructions of how to live.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, you burn in hell for eternity.
Yeah.
It's like, I couldn't agree more, dude. And that's something that I'll give my dad credit for. Like, once I got to his, because if the listeners don't know, I grew up in a very religious family. I grew up as a Christian. I was like saved or whatever when I was like 5. Like I went through the whole shebang. I went to church. I blah blah blah. And when I was like, I can't remember what age it was, but after a certain age, I started having doubts. Like I started being like, I feel like this can't be real. Like I don't really believe this, really.
Right.
And that can be scary because you don't want to. What are you going to? You know better than
Yeah.
to tell your parents you don't actually believe it.
Yeah.
But you just go to church, and then after a while, I'll give my dad credit. I finally told him. I was like, Dad, like, I don't really believe in this stuff. And
Right.
we talked. We would talk. That's one thing about my dad is he wouldn't just get angry at me because I disagreed. He would always talk with me.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. And after I got 18, he sat me down. He was like, son, I want you to know you're 18 now. So you can, I want you to think for yourself. I want you to go out and come to your own conclusions.
Yeah.
Now, you know that I believe in God and I believe that Christianity is right. And it saddens me to not see you believe the same right now. But I know you, son, and you're an inquisitive person. And you need to go out and you need to find your own answer. And he said that to me, which is like
Yeah.
a really good dad thing to do, you know?
Yeah.
So I'll give him credit there. He kind of like stopped me from hating religion because he was like, oh, no pressure, man. Like, I get it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, go
Yeah. and
find the truth for yourself.
The sad thing is like a lot of people aren't like that.
Oh, yeah.
And
absolutely not.
and it's really sad to see because it takes away. I feel like it takes away agency from your child if you do that.
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Because like it's either you follow what we do or, dude, I saw a
Or in some instances, it's not that it takes away agency.
Yeah.
It's that it can lead to an extreme sense of rebellion in the child.
Well-
because they detest
Not
this control that's been rested upon them.
But
that was
that's
what my brother did.
That's what I mean. It takes away agency in the fact that like you can't question things. You like you said
Right, you
you were
can't question
scared. You were
things.
scared to talk to your dad about it because you thought that like if you did, there would be a
I was
going
gonna
to
be in trouble.
That's what I'm saying is
Right.
that like you didn't. Of course, for you it worked out, but for
But
a
that's
lot
just
of other
'cause I
people,
lucked out with my dad.
exactly. For a lot of other people, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So I think that where was I going with this?
The agency thing. is what you're talking about.
It's just taking away that freedom to even question something is I
wrong.
think I think is
I remember
no
in
bueno.
school. I can't remember. I think it was. Fuck, man. It might have been a social studies class.
Mm-hmm.
I had a class in freshman year of high school. I think it was a social studies class. Anyway, in the class we had a sort of segment of the curriculum where we studied some philosophy.
Yeah.
And that was really eye-opening for me as a kid because what is it, freshman year, how old are you, like 15, 14?
I think that's what freshman is probably 13, 14.
Yeah, around there. Pretty young, but like
Yeah.
old enough to where you're starting to
Right.
really start to think, you know?
Yeah.
And dude, I'm sorry, I know it's corny, but there was that one quote. I think it was Socrates. I might be wrong.
Socrates nuts. Continue.
Socrates nuts.
Socrates. Just keep going. Just keep going.
God, dude.
It's
Comedy god.
it was hilarious. But keep going.
It's been 3,000.
You're just mad
It's
'cause
been 3,000 years, and you're still making these nuts jokes, dude.
you're just mad that I got your dumb ass. But continue. What was your point?
Are you gonna do it again if I
No,
say his
I'm
name
not.
again?
I'm not.
You promise?
I promise.
You're not gonna do it again.
I'm not going to do it
Okay,
again.
because I have this feeling that I'm gonna say it, and you're gonna do it again.
I'm not going to do it again.
All right. Anyway, back to the story. Socrates. Socrates was a philosopher, and I think it was him. But there was a quote from him that said, basically, it was to the effect of, question everything. You know?
Right.
You should be allowed to question all things. Always question things. And that really aligned with me as a person. Because, like, when I was younger, I always liked to do the same thing. I would ask a ton of questions, dude. I would always be asking about shit. And my dad would take the time to, or my mom too, they'd both take the time to answer my questions on shit. Which I think really fostered, like, a curiosity I had about the world around me, you know?
Right.
But yeah, dude, I mean, it's like you said, you should always be allowed to question. That should be allowed. Let me say it like this. Here's another way to phrase what you said. If something was really true, why would they not allow you to question it?
Exactly.
You should be allowed to question gravity. It's easy to prove.
Exactly.
You can sit. I'm not going to stop you from going, is gravity really true?
Yeah.
Because I can just show you. But if
They
I was like,
used to-
hey,
they
you're
used
not
to-
allowed to ask that. It's like,
just think about it. They used to kill people for like asking questions of like, are you sure
they'd stone them.
that's right? Yeah. Yeah.
Put him in the
Shit,
hill and
they
stone
still-
him to
they
death.
Still, there's some places in the world where they still do that today.
No, they'll do crazy shit. They'll
Yeah.
like cut their tongue off and
Yeah.
shit.
But I was watching this video. It was like last night or the day before, where it was an Islamic dude, and he had been going to high school, and he had found a girl who was Christian, and they had a crush on each other, and
Oh,
they
wow,
were like
that's-
secretly dating.
Wow.
And apparently, in his family, it's like not cool to date because of their religion or whatever. And they were talking about like how for 10 years, so it went past high school, for 10 years that they dated each other without like telling their parents. And then
10 years?
yeah,
Shit, dude.
exactly. And then the day he was going to propose to his wife, he talked to his dad about it, and he says like, and his dad was like, you know, this is not how we do things. This is not, you know, how we do things in this family. And he said, if you do this, you're not going to be my son anymore.
He was going to fucking excommunicate him.
And he did. And
He
he did.
did,
He
yeah.
married his wife, and he had his kids and stuff like that. And his dad like never spoke to him again. And the fact that like somebody could believe something so much that they never speak to their child again over it is just absolutely wild to me.
Yeah.
Wild to me.
Because they think it's right.
Yeah. And so and it's not only like that's like not only like Islam, that's like not an Islamic thing. Like
That's another thing. I don't understand. Like, I understand if your kid grows up and they're just a nonstop asshole to you for like your entire life, I can understand not wanting to really talk to your child. But I don't think there's anything good that can come from like literally excommunicating your child.
Yeah.
What good can come from that? You
Right.
know, it's like, okay.
or shunning. Have you seen like like in is it Mormons or what was it called? There's another one.
Jehovah's Witnesses?
Jehovah's Witnesses that will like shun somebody for like weeks at a time if they go against the church or something like that. Like and like it could be a whole family, it could be a person, it could be anything, to where like the family will have to leave that person at home when they go to church. And so it's just
Jesus,
yeah,
dude.
it's wild, dude.
I hate to talk about this because I know like a lot of people are religious, and I
Yeah.
know that like, you know, everybody has their own beliefs, and you have a right to if you truly believe in
Right.
something, you have a right to believe in that.
Yeah.
So don't think we're saying that like religion is fucked up. But the main conversation topic is we believe that people should have the right to question things.
Yes.
And that should not be, you know, looked down upon or seen in the worst cases as like something
Right.
worthy of a shun. To me, it doesn't matter if it's religion doing that, or a job doing that, or a fucking, you know, a community doing that.
Just think about that. Think about how wild that is.
That's like cultish shit. Dude.
Imagine if I stopped talking to anybody who didn't watch One Piece or something like that. That'd be fucking insane.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're just like, nope, they're
Yeah.
out of my life now.
Yeah. You don't think that One Piece is the best anime? Guess I can't talk to you ever again. I guess you're just going to hell. Nothing I can
Dude.
do about that.
Dude.
And like
And then you'll go home and talk to your circle of people who agree with you.
Yeah.
And tell them how you
they'll be
excommunicated
like-
someone and they'll be like, that's the right way, Oscar.
Yep,
Good job.
yep.
They're lost. They're lost.
Yeah,
Those
and then,
people
like-
are lost.
And then like people will like it's just wild to me. People will like pass laws to that have basis in religion, and it's just like imagine if I was like, oh, every Sunday we have to go to like
Everybody in this state has to do what I believe.
Yeah, you have
legally,
to-
or you go to jail.
dude, fucking Utah.
You get a fine.
Utah has like some of the strictest like drinking laws and stuff like that because all the people that vote for him are Mormon and they don't believe in drinking. So like
That's an interesting
they have like
interesting
dry
case.
counties and shit like
That's
that.
an interesting case, right? Because in that scenario, the Mormons might be the majority.
Exactly.
You know, so like it's actually benefiting a majority of people.
But think about that. If I was non-Mormon and I lived in a dry county in Utah, I would be like fucked because
Well, yeah, but that's the same. I would make the argument that there are a couple other laws that a lot of laws get passed that just kind of fuck over the minority of people,
Yes.
and benefit the majority that voted for them.
yes. Think about that. If it was like yeah, I just really like DC, and if anybody if I catch somebody reading a Marvel comic, you're going to jail.
You know what my issue? You're going to jail.
You can only read Marvel comics between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. and then after 6 p.m.
It's like
if I catch you with
contraband.
it. Yeah, exactly. Because Superman said that you should only read DC comics. This is fucking it's stupid.
Also, it doesn't. First off, I just want to say I really like the idea of likening all religion to like comic books, but there's a lot of parallels. But also, I want to say we tried that with Prohibition.
Yeah.
It's like you'll never be able to quell the human spirit. You'll never be able to quell the
Nobody
human
liked that
desires.
shit.
No
Nobody
one liked
that
this.
shit. No one liked it.
Yeah, and then we got like, I think Budweiser, the company, was established during Prohibition as like an underground, brewery.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and now is like obviously like the biggest brewery in the fucking like beer company in the fucking world.
Yeah.
And it's like a conglomerate that owns like several other.
Actually, this is a fun fact. I just learned this the other day. But Modelo actually took them over. Modelo's the number one beer in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, it just recently happened. So
That's a space I'm just like totally uneducated in.
yeah, I don't drink beer. So, but hey, to anybody who drinks Modelo, it's Modelo time.
You're
it's
on
always
top.
Modelo time.
It's Modelo time now.
It's Modelo time somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I think my main issue with the questions thing is I can phrase it like this. Like, I think an incredibly important part of thinking for yourself is questioning your own things that you believe to be true, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just set in your ways. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know how else to say it. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't question what you think, you're a fucking idiot, you know?
Right.
Because you're not a robot. You're not omniscient. You can't possibly know everything.
Yeah.
And just because you have an experience that makes you think one way, that obviously doesn't mean that, okay, pack it up. That's my view on that topic. It's always going to be like that.
You know what's crazy to me? Is from talking to people who are not extremely religious, but very religious.
What's that?
Even if you find something that they do question or that there are questions about,
Like, even they have to be like, yeah, we don't know.
But it's like it's really impressive. They have like
Oh, the
just have
cyclical
faith.
And
No, just have faith.
Oh, yeah.
Wherever there's like a gap,
Yeah.
I just have faith
Yes.
that it's true.
Yes.
And that's it. I have faith that, like,
You know another word for faith?
yeah, what?
Copium.
True and real.
Again, this episode's going to upset a lot of people, but
Yeah,
we're just speaking our opinions on this.
We had a lot of fans, and we certainly have.
I'll say this. Look, I'll say
A
this.
few less now.
I'll say this. I know a lot of fucking religious people who do think for
Sorry,
themselves.
Space Pope.
Yeah. I know a lot of religious people who do think for themselves, and they are willing to question things.
Yes.
And they are not just like set in their ways,
Right.
and they don't hate me because I don't believe what they believe, and they aren't just like, well, I'll just have faith. Like, I know people that aren't like that, so that's not everybody.
Right.
But I do agree with you that I think faith is I think believing in something and knowing something are two very different things.
Yeah.
And I think faith is literally choosing to believe something when you don't have the knowledge. That's what
Right.
I think faith is. And so I don't have a problem with choosing to believe in something. Like Oscar, I choose to believe that when I die, it's not just that's it.
Right.
You know, I can choose to believe that because that would suck.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that I'm going to live my life assuming that, oh, I'll just reincarnate.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not going to live my life like that because we don't have any proof that that's the case.
Right.
So that's my main problem is what I was trying to get at is like, not only should you question your own beliefs, but we should live in a world where I can go to you, Oscar, and we can have that freedom of speech episode we had, you know?
Right.
We should live in a world where I can go to you with what I think and you can go to me with what you think and we can disagree and then we can talk about it and leave it with a new understanding.
Absolutely.
But if you go to talk to me and I'm like, oh, you don't believe what I do, we're never talking again.
Yeah,
then
we're
you
not friends anymore.
Not only do you fuck yourself over, you stop humanity. You you are a little drop in the bucket that hinders humanity's develop progress. You know what I mean? Because you're like, nope, I'm not gonna evolve.
I really do hate that. I hate there's like a trend where people will say like if you don't it could be from like the left or right, back to the political side.
Yeah.
From the left or right, you can see people. You don't have Facebook, but people do this to where it's like,
I believe.
Oh, if you don't, vote this way or that way, or
I'm
if
gonna
you do
unfriend
this,
you, right?
Yeah, then I'll unfriend you.
Dude, yes.
Then like
I've seen it.
I can't.
I've seen it.
I can't be friends with you anymore. There are certain things. There are certain things that I do think that are that warrant that. Like
Yes.
if somebody's like a racist
or like a straight up toxic person in your life to you or something.
Exactly. If somebody, if they're like an extremist, if they or like a Holocaust denier or something like that, I can see.
Then you can be like, maybe I shouldn't.
But yeah,
really
I can
talk
see
to
like
this
I can
person.
see like, hey, if you don't believe that like people should have equal rights, then you can not.
It's
be
gonna
my
be
friend.
hard for
I
us
can
to be
I can
friends.
understand that,
Yeah,
but there are people who like legitimately like, hey, if you don't believe in healthcare for all, then unfriend me. Or if you don't believe that like every cat should have a gun, the fucking unfriend me.
No, dude,
It's
I distinctly remember when Donald Trump was first running for president. I think we were in high school, right? Mm-hmm. It was our senior year.
No,
or was it after high school?
It
was after high school.
It was that because that election happened when I was in boot camp, so it was like the year for me at least. We went to high school at different times, but
I
for me at
graduated in
least,
2014.
Yeah, I graduated in 2016. So yeah.
Okay, so it was about 2 years when I was out of high. It was about 3 years after high school. I was totally off, but
Right.
I remember going on Facebook like once, and I remember seeing someone. I don't remember her name, but she was a kid that graduated with me, and I wasn't super close to her, but I had her added on Facebook, and I'm bringing this up because it's literally a relevant fact to the story. She was Hispanic, and her family was Hispanic, and that was one of the big things with Donald Trump is that he was saying that he was just going to like really crack down on immigration shit,
Yeah.
and deport people and shit like that. And I remember looking at Facebook, and she made a post that was like, if you vote for Donald Trump, you clearly want to see me and my family deported. And that's unfortunate that you feel that way, but we can't be friends. And she was literally unfriending anyone who voted for Donald Trump.
Right.
And like, I get it. I get the fear that she might have been experiencing with her and her family.
Because that's like real.
And it's real.
Yeah.
I get that. But at the same time, you can agree. There's definitely a little bit of a logic gap to jump to if you vote for Donald Trump, even if you didn't know her.
Right.
We can't be friends anymore. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, Oscar, let's put on our tinfoil hats really quick, okay? I'll say what you say, this cringe saying, play with me in this space.
Yeah.
And let's pretend...
It's not cringe.
I think it is. Let's pretend to be conspiracy theorists, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Just for a second. And let's assume that there really is, like, the 5 stars of the United States. Like there's like an Illuminati. There's like a great
the five elder
the
stars.
five elder
okay,
stars
yeah,
of the
yeah.
U.S. There's like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's
Right.
like a group, because that's what they always talk about. There's
Yeah.
some in their mind. There's some like powerful council.
Yes.
So let's say that's really true, and they're evil, and they just want to take over. They just want to take over the American people.
Right.
And let's just say that's true.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Oscar, just from a logistics perspective. If you wanted to take over a country like the United States, which is full of a lot of people who are very different, but we all kind of have that like freedom mentality, at least a little bit, especially
Yeah.
in Texas and other states, the South states.
Yeah.
That's kind of quite a task, you know? That's how are you going to make these people subservient?
Right.
You want to take away their guns, you want to take away their freedom of speech, and you want to turn them into like, you know, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's going to be hard, bro. What's
Yeah.
the first thing you're going to try to do?
For
The first thing.
uh,
Because I know what mine is.
what's yours?
Split them up.
Turn them against each other.
Split them
Yeah.
up.
It's the old. Have you ever seen the movie? What is it? A Bug's Life.
Yes, I have, actually. I actually have
Wow.
seen A Bug's Life.
Wow.
I actually have seen. Actually,
Ladies and
I've seen a
gentlemen,
lot
you've
of.
seen it here
I've
first.
seen a lot of Pixar Disney movies.
Okay, you've seen it
Funny
here
enough.
first. He has seen A
It,
Bug's
it was
Life.
it was a long time
This-
ago, but I saw it.
This is a hurdle that I have yet to clear with him on so many occasions. But in A Bug's Life, they have like Hopper,
Yeah.
the grasshopper
Yes.
dude, has a speech to where like
He's like the evil guy, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
he's like once they realize that there's way more of them than there is of us,
They'll take us out.
we're done.
Exactly. He knows. He's
Exactly.
smart.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that there is
There's
a
life
fucking.
lessons to be learned from A Bug's Life, is what I'm saying.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying there's 5. That's also a really good topic. Is I feel like there's a lot more lessons to be learned from older animated films than current ones. But that's, and I think that's an interesting topic. But we'll get there.
Yeah. One of these days.
One of these days. But no, that's true. Like, I don't think there is a fucking Illuminati that's trying to take over America.
No.
But if there were, that would be my first step, is to split America up. And I just remember seeing that post, and I was like, you're doing exactly what they want.
Yeah.
Like this is what they want, is they want to divide us against each other. They want people of different sexual identities to hate each other. They want people of different genders to hate each other. They want people of different races to hate each other. They want people of different religions to hate each other.
Yeah.
And they want the lefts and the rights to hate each other.
Right.
And they're doing a hell of a job. If they're real, if that's a real thing, they're doing a hell of a job. And that's why I'm like, y'all,
Light work, no reaction.
I know we want to have this conversation about like I'll say this and then I'll shut up about it, or I'll let you speak because I know I'm rambling.
No, go ahead.
I apologize.
Talk your shit, King.
But I'll say this: like, whenever people talk about politics or presidents that they don't like or anything like that, what I hear said a lot is, "Oh, Donald Trump is doing this, or Biden is doing this, or this guy's evil, this guy's terrible." But at the same time, it's like, that really takes the power away from the people when you say that. Like, yes, I get it. This one person is the person doing that thing. That's not wrong. But we let him get into office.
That
what I'm
is
saying?
exactly my point.
The only person we should be mad at is us.
I have such
Because that takes the power away from us.
It is a pet peeve of mine of people who are like, "Oh, you can't trust the government. I really hate the government because the government is doing X and Y and
It's like it's
doing
out of
this
their
and that."
control.
And it's like, my dude, how are you that mad about the government? But then you don't look at like the people to your left and right who are voting for like these people. They're there because of they're like, "Oh, I hate politicians because they're all crooked and stuff like that." My dude, you guys.
How do you think they got into office?
I personally don't vote, but
But how do you think they got into office?
how the fuck do you think they got there? People voted for them. If you don't,
It's not like the government
that,
just shows up every day and they're like,
Educate yourself.
all right, it's been 4 years. It's time to pick a new
I
one
think-
from the team. Like, we're going to draft a player.
Exactly. Everybody acts like the government well, it kind of works like that, but like
No, like, I know what you're talking about. They act like the government's just above them.
Yeah.
And everyone's just living their life under the government.
there's nothing I can do.
And it
It's-
didn't used to be that way, though.
Yeah.
Like, think about when you learn about how America started, right?
Yeah.
Like, the way that they talk about it in the textbooks, which is all I have to go off of in the limited research I've done.
Right.
But the way they talk about it is that when it started, the American government was a privilege to the people.
Right.
Remember when we went to Japan
Uh-huh.
and it felt like the government was serving us?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It might have surfaced in different ways, obviously.
True.
But that kind of thing. But over 100 years, it has totally flipped on its head, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's just like, oh, you know, just under Uncle Sam paying my taxes.
It's so dumb, dude.
Because
it's
people
like it's
don't
like
want
I hate
responsibility.
No, it's like people. What I hate, I hate this a lot too. People who are like, "Oh man, I hate the fact that I have to pay taxes. Nobody should pay taxes. Taxes should be illegal."
Okay,
and I'm
that's
well, no.
Taxation is slavery.
Hear me out. Taxation is theft. They'll say.
Yes,
and I'm
that's
like,
right.
The only reason you feel like that is because the money that you're paying in taxes is not working for you.
Yes,
if you live
100%.
If you, I talked to my my
Dude, I would
stepmom.
have no
She's-
problem paying taxes in Japan.
My stepmom is from Germany, and she says, and taxes are way higher over there for normal people than it is in America.
But fucking Prax was telling me that like you can literally. Were you in the car with me and Prax that one time?
I don't know. What do you?
He was saying that like if you have a kid, if you're a woman and you become pregnant with a child,
yes,
the government will pay for like you to live for like 4 years.
Yes,
you don't have to get a job or anything. You can just you get those kind of benefits.
Yeah, my stepmom had my little brother earlier this summer. I don't think she has to go to work for 2 years. And also not
and the
only
jobs
that,
can't do shit about it.
They have a monthly stipend for each child. You get paid money for each child that you have.
Yeah.
So
and it's illegal for correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's illegal for jobs to fire you
for being
because
pregnant.
You have a child.
Exactly, very illegal. And so my stepmom, she was telling me, we were talking about this one time, and she was telling me that like people in Germany are they're like, oh, I hate these high taxes and stuff like that. They'll bitch about it,
right?
But then if you ask, she's like, if you ask a German person, hey, do
you want to go live in America?
No. Do you want to take this? Do you want us to take this away, or take away the healthcare, or take away the money, or stuff like
and
that?
Then
They'll be like, "Fuck
taxes.
no."
Yeah, exactly.
And pay less tax. They're like, "Fuck no, I wouldn't do that."
Right.
And so I really think these people are mad at the fact that their tax money is not going to things that serve them. And so
I think so too.
And so,
but there's also a conversation about like, because I've talked to people in my family about this, where when you start talking about like, you know, healthcare, which is a new thing for the U.S. Like Obamacare was like a new concept to Americans.
Funny how we live, but we live next to fucking Canada.
Exactly,
it's wild.
But that was like a new concept, and then but as soon as you start talking about like free tuition or like you know higher taxes, they get this idea that we're turning into like a socialist country.
It's fucking stupid.
And so I think
it's stupid.
And I get it. Like I don't get the claim that we're turning into a socialist country, but I do understand that like. You have to admit, it is beautiful that because of the way that capitalism works here, you can be your own king.
Sure, and you can
start and run a business.
You can also pay $700 for fucking insulin. Which is,
I know, but you know what I'm saying? Like you can be self-made here, and that is kind of beautiful. And the government will let you do it, but can we just spend like 5% less on military?
Yeah,
Just 4%.
Can we get a fucking train?
Please?
Can I have a train, please?
Can I please have a train? Can I please have public transportation?
Yeah.
Maybe can I get a good education without paying $300,000?
Yeah.
Can I please have an education without paying over $250,000, please?
But
why is that such a foreign concept? You know?
But my point is that people will complain about like paying those taxes and stuff like that, and then vote in people who are like, oh, we're gonna
and the taxes are lower than other countries.
Exactly, we're gonna vote in people who
say in their agenda
that we're not gonna use your taxes to do anything for you.
Yes.
It's fucking wild to me. Like just look at it. I think it's because a lot of people, I guarantee you, if every American were to ride on a Japanese subway, they would be like, "Oh man, what the fuck are we doing?"
That's what my reaction was.
Exactly.
After I experienced it, I was like, "Wait a second,
It can be this.
I can just not have a car and be okay. I can get to work.
Bro, I
I can work.
paid $8 in Kyoto to go anywhere in the city for a day. In a timely 30 minutes.
timely manner.
I could be anywhere in the city in 30 minutes for $8. No gas, no car, no fucking having to sit in traffic. There's no traffic.
Mind you, that $8, depending on where you go, might even pay for you to get back.
Yes, it does.
A round trip.
It's not a round trip. It's a day pass. It was a day pass in Kyoto.
You
for
can literally
$8.
go anywhere as many times as you want for 24 hours for $8.
$8. I don't have to, and it's not like the don't get me fucking started with the fucking metro. Like,
Oh my God, no.
bro,
No, it's a beautiful station that has like restaurants
Yes.
and AC,
Yes.
and there's like a Google Map system for
Yes.
when it shows up, and it
It's-
shows up. The most it'll be late is like 2 minutes. 2 minutes at
it's
most.
wild. It's wild what it could be if we spent half as much money on the
Not even
fucking
half.
the fucking military.
Not even half as
Yeah.
much. That's the thing that pisses
Yeah.
me off. It's not even half as much, Oscar. It's like 5%.
Yes.
If we were to spend 5%,
It's
I think we spent $877 billion on our military last
Right.
year.
Yes.
Almost $1 trillion.
Yes.
On our military.
yeah.
Like, imagine if we spent just $100 billion. Not even $100 billion. $50 billion on public transportation in just the greater metropolitan areas of the U.S. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
just New York,
Yes.
Chicago,
Yes.
L.A., like
Yeah.
the main cities.
Yeah. It'd be like I just don't think that
Because people don't value it.
they don't even
know, right?
even know what they don't have.
Yeah,
and then
I think you're
I
right.
think in America, what's really fucked up America is the fact that America thinks that or a lot of Americans think that this place is the greatest country on the planet, dude.
Yeah,
you
I
don't
think-
even have wet wipes. You don't even have wet wipes
So-
at the fucking restaurants that you eat at.
Like, if Prax was
Shit is dry as fuck.
If Prax was here, he could make a really good argument for why there are certain aspects about America that are better than other countries. And I think it's true that, like, if you want to look at the best place to start a business, America's up there, dude.
Sure, but the
You gotta give
average
'em that.
person, the average person is not starting business. We can't all start businesses.
No, I mean-
300 million people aren't going to start businesses. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm with you. But I'm just saying, like,
300.
that
but
doesn't change the fact that that's
Not
still
billion, million, I meant.
I knew what you meant. That still doesn't change the fact that that is a benefit of America. That there's this dream that's like what I'm trying to say, Oscar, is if you're going to have an environment where you can succeed like that, it's going to be hard. And the sad reality is it's going to create inequality. Because
Yes.
because you're right.
You're absolutely right.
Not all 300 million people are going to start a business, but a lot of those 300 million people are going to be totally content sitting on their ass every day doing butt fuck nothing with their lives. So why should they be making as much money as someone who is trying his ass off or her ass off to start a business? That person should be able to get success. So I'm not defending America being the best country in the world, but I'm just being devil's advocate here and pointing out that there is a strange fairness to that I don't think is as present in other countries.
So what my response to that, and we're gonna have to wrap this up soon.
Yeah, we are coming up at the end here.
My response to that would be is that it's not as if as soon as people get like free healthcare and get
That
to
we
go
can't
to
be
college,
successful.
get to go to college without going into fucking a servitude,
Debt for the rest of their lives.
and like.
No,
They
I get you.
They
I
have
get you.
they get like time off to be with their children
No,
when
I
they
get you.
when they
I
have
get you.
children.
Yeah.
It's not as if people are just going to stop
I
because
agree with you.
because there are other countries that there are a lot every other
I think we just
first world country
Yes.
has something
I think-
like this.
I think we
and
just need to-
there are not millions of people. Well, there are lazy people. Of course, you're not gonna
Right,
eradicate
right. I
lazy
understand.
people.
I understand.
But you're gonna have people who are just who don't want to be lazy, who just want to work a job and feed their family and stuff like that.
And that's why my
Yeah.
argument is we don't have to change America to a socialist country, right?
Yes.
Just can we just move the dial a little bit? Just a little bit.
I
Can
just
we,
want a goddamn train.
yeah, can we just get a little bit of quality? I'll pay a little bit extra in taxes if I can just get a little bit.
Can we just get
can
a
our
Shinkansen,
education not be
please?
38th, please? You know, like can we not have a diet that results in like higher obesity levels than any other country? Can we maybe get some fucking exercise? Can we maybe get some public transportation?
Yes.
Can we maybe get some health care? Can we make like I agree with you. I think like, okay, America, I get that you have that, but like, guys, every other fucking first world country has these benefits. Like, I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit for them. Can we just can we just turn the dial?
What are we doing?
It's not a switch, right? It's a lever. And you just
Yeah.
need to push the lever a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
The fucking and this is going to be my final point. The military lost a plane earlier this year. Lost a
They lost it.
it like what
Like a
happened?
jet?
You're like a jet. It was like an F-35 or something
Oh
like
my
that.
God. Those things that cost
It was like millions of dollars
Yeah.
gone. Gone.
they just lost it. Oh, we don't know where it is.
And like we it like, but if you were to ask somebody like, hey, can we cut that back? It's like, no, we need that. We need that.
Yeah.
We need that money.
We need to stay above the other countries,
yeah,
dude.
we need that money to stay above the other country. And it's like we're not
Maybe
even
we don't.
we're not even in war.
Maybe
right
we'd
now.
be okay with F-30s.
Yeah.
Or maybe F-31s.
Yeah.
You know? Like, maybe we don't need to be on F-35s. Can we replace the F-32 through F-35 with
Yeah.
free college for every citizen?
Exactly.
Maybe that would help
Dude,
us.
and-
Maybe that would make us a more successful
Yeah.
country,
Yeah.
right? If the general population was more educated.
Yeah.
Don't you think that would help us as a country?
Right. And I just wish that man, I just wish things were different.
But
that's all. But
unfortunately, that's how life is,
Well,
and that's why you got to
actually,
think for yourself.
it's a lot better now in the future where I
man.
could just like go to Uchu and ask her to make me a fucking Pop-Tart and it'll
Oh, you
materialize.
talking about the Pop-Tart materializer?
Yeah, it's fucking great.
Man.
But
Hey, speaking of which, I hate to say this on the episode, but we need to figure out how to get to Epsilon, dude, because we've been traveling through nothing for like 3 days, bro. I don't even know if it's been 3 days, to be
Yeah.
honest. It might be 4 or 5.
yeah, time is really weird out
And we've
here.
been watching a lot of One Piece because we have like 10,376 episodes to catch on
Yeah.
for the past like 1,000 years alone.
Yeah.
So
It's crazy.
you need to figure out a way to get to Epsilon. So let's wrap this thing up, man.
So thank you for listening. We will be continuing our journey, and we really thank you guys for
Sticking
being
with
fans
us.
of us.
Yeah.
Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I would just like to say thank you to everybody who's given us a shout out, given us a like, who comments on our videos. I love each and every one of you. Also, it was I'm a little sentimental because it was my birthday a couple days ago, and as I'm getting older, I'm looking at like we were talking about in a previous episode, my legacy. And I view this podcast as something I can leave behind that's going to be on the internet forever.
It is.
And
YouTube would have to shut down
Exactly.
for it to go away.
The fact that you guys listen to me and my friend here ramble on about these topics on the internet is fucking wild to me, and so I just really appreciate it. And I'm just gonna say that whoever listens to this podcast, you're automatically cool in my book.
Oh no, you're definitely cool.
Yeah.
you're definitely cool.
But with that being said, you never know what everybody's going through, so be kind to anybody. And with that, Uchu, take us home.
Ending transmission.